Hey there, Shakespeare Shakers, and welcome back to A Rose by Any Other Name, the podcast that makes Shakespeare less of a tragedy and more of a triumph for your brain. I'm Mr. Rose, and in today's episode, we'll be heading inside the Capulet house for Romeo and Juliet. Act 1, Scene 3. We finally meet Juliet. Yes, the Juliet. And her first scene is a mix of oversharing, pressure to marry, and just enough sass to make you realize that this girl's got her own mind. The summary. So, how do you feel about marriage? We are inside Casa Capulet, and Lady Capulet is getting ready for the big party. She calls for Juliet and also for the nurse, Juliet's childhood carer, and an all round chatterbox. Lady Capulet tries to send the nurse away so she can talk privately with Juliet, but changes her mind almost instantly and calls her back. Her parenting confidence equals low. Before they can get into anything serious, the nurse hijacks the conversation with a long, awkward story about Juliet as a toddler. It includes a cringy joke her husband made about Juliet falling on her back one day, basically hinting at her future sex life. How charming. Juliet shuts it down fast with, "And stint thou too, I pray thee, nurse, say I." Lady Capulet finally gets to the point. She says, "Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married?" Juliet says that she hasn't thought about it, and Lady Capulet hits back with, "Well, I had you at your age," and starts hyping up Paris, the guy they want Juliet to marry. Juliet agrees to give him a look at the party, but she's not making any promises. She says, "I'll look to like, and if looking liking move." A servingman then arrives to say that the feast is starting and the girls head out. Our theme talk this episode is about power, pressure, and passive defiance. This scene is short and powerful. We finally meet Juliet, and while she seems polite and obedient, she also shows signs of quiet strength. She listens to the adults, but she's thinking for herself. We see more of the theme of parental influence, especially how young women are expected to follow the wishes of the adults around them. Lady Capulet wants Juliet to marry Paris. The nurse assumes that marriage is inevitable. And Juliet, well, she's just trying to keep up. We also have a look at class and closeness. Lady Capulet is Juliet's mother, but the nurse is the one who knows her best. The nurse raised her, loved her, and still talks to her like a second mum, sometimes a little too much. Finally, this scene builds on this idea of individual versus society. Juliet hasn't even considered marriage, but society's already planning her future. It's like she's been told the ending of her story before she's even had the chance to write the beginning. In our first quote highlight, "It is an honour that I dream not of," said by Juliet. Juliet says the right thing. Marriage is an honour, but her honesty slips through. In her irony, she hasn't actually been dreaming of husbands or weddings. It's a gentle way of saying thanks, but no thanks. "And stint thou too, I pray thee, nurse, I, says Juliet. This is a key into that characterization of Juliet and the nurse. Juliet speaks up to silence the nurse. It's polite, but it's firm. She may be quiet around her mother, but she's not afraid to draw the boundaries with the person that she's the closest to. "I'll look to like, if liking move, but no more deep will I endart mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly." It's said by Juliet. This little bit of wordplay, little bit of metaphor, is Juliet saying that I'll see if I can like him, but I'm not going to pretend I do just to please you. It's quite clever. She follows the rules whilst leaving herself some wiggle room. That's how smart people survive in strict societies. "Read o'er the volume of young Paris' face, and find delight with their beauty's pen," said by Lady Capulet. It's an extended metaphor. Lady Capulet compares Paris's beauty to a book, easy to read and admire. It shows how love is being treated like a contract or a checklist, not an emotion. It's kind of romantic. And lastly, thou wast the prettiest babe I ever unnursed, said by the nurse. This is some characterization. There's a little bit of sentiment in her speech here. The nurse has a deep maternal love for Juliet, and this line adds emotional weight to the scene. It's not all pressure and plans. There is some warmth here too, even if it comes wrapped up in too many stories. Looking at our reflective questions, our first question: how does this scene show the influence parents and caregivers have on Juliet's choices? We see that Juliet is being told what's expected of her by both her mother and the nurse. Lady Capulet is encouraging marriage because she did it young herself, while the nurse supports it as the normal step for a girl Juliet's age. Juliet responds with respect, but it's clear that she hasn't been a part of the decision making. This shows just how tightly controlled young women's futures were in Verona. Our second question: is Juliet being obedient in this scene, or is she finding quiet ways to resist? Juliet uses polite, vague responses to keep her options open. She doesn't say no, but she also doesn't say yes. Her choice of words allow her to stay within the boundaries her mother expects, while still maintaining some control. This shows that Juliet is beginning to find her voice, even if it's a little quiet for now. And our last question: what do Lady Capulet and the nurse reveal about the roles in women in Verona? Lady Capulet represents the traditional path: marry young, align yourself with status, and support your family's decisions. The nurse, though lower in class, is more nurturing and open, but still expects Juliet to follow society's path. We have a great contrast between these two characters here. Both women show that even as adults, their roles are shaped by expectations placed on them as women, and those same pressures are now falling on Juliet. Well, that is a wrap on episode 3 of A Rose by Any Other Name. Juliet might be new to our story, but she's already showing signs of the clever, courageous young woman we'll come to know. She's polite, but not passive. She listens, but she's thinking for herself. Next time in Act 1, Scene 4, we'll hit the streets with Romeo and the boys as they head off to the Capulet party, and Mercutio makes his epic entrance. Expect puns, chaos, and a wild ride into the Queen Mab monologue. Until then, keep your hearts honest, your mind sharp, and your nurse slightly more filtered.